My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the 2018 movie Tomb Raider. In this review, we'll have spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch this review because I will be going in depth. Now, this is a movie that I've enjoyed since I first saw it. I've always claimed it to be the best video game movie ever made, and sure enough, it's not a very high bar, but my point still stands. But I've always been shocked to discover that not very many people like this movie. I hear people call it forgettable and generic. So I'm rewatching it for the first time, and I'm just wondering if it was going to be as good as I remember it being, and yes, I still really enjoy this movie. It's not great, it's not a masterpiece, it's not the finest work of art, but for what it is, I really enjoy it. I think the movie is really well directed by Yun-Thang, who also directed this one movie called The Wave that was thrilling, intense, but also not great, and I think he does a good job with this movie. I love how he follows the adventure formula exactly as it should be. Like, she gets stranded on an island, she's then looking for this treasure, and in the last act, they go into some underground caves. They have to solve puzzles, they have to find clues, they have to overcome booby traps, and then they find the treasure, but it turns out it's cursed, so they have to stop the bad guy from taking it out into the real world. It's just the perfect formula for a movie like this, and I'm glad they followed it. And on top of that, we get some really great action here. I love the bike chase at the beginning. It's just an entertaining way to start the movie. You also got this chase scene on the docks, which I enjoy. You got the boat scene, which recaptures certain imagery from the game so perfectly. You've also got this amazing plane sequence, which reminds me more of Uncharted than it does Lara Croft, but it's still a really great tense sequence. And then you get the last act, which I already said I loved. I loved all the different booby traps and all that. But my favorite moment is when she's going after the bad guy and the music picks up and he's crossing over the pit and she just throws down her axe and just jumps for the ladder. Just every time I watch that scene, I get goosebumps. It's really great stuff. And I love how this movie manages to feel like a video game without being too obvious about it. Like, it doesn't feel like Scott Pilgrim, but when she's sneaking around the camp, I just feel like I'm watching someone play a video game. And I mean that in a very positive way. They capture the roots of where this character came from without taking me out of this experience. So I love that. And I think Alicia Vikander is really great in this main role. I think she does a much better job than Angelina Jolie. She's able to bring a certain level of humanity to this character. She's able to highlight her strengths very well. And she just carries this movie so perfectly. And by the end, you feel like she's really gone through stuff. So I'll give credit where credit is due. She's great. The rest of the supporting cast isn't bad, but they're not great either. You've got Dominic West, Walton Goggins, and Daniel Wu, and they do a perfectly fine job. They're just not given the strongest material to work with. I will say that for the majority of the movie, I didn't really care about the whole dad plot. But by the end, when he dies, I was just like, oh, I'm starting to feel some emotion here. Like, I'm surprised by how much this is affecting me. So, kudos to the movie for that. But I do still have some issues. This does kind of go about itself like it's an origin story, and I don't think that was the right approach. I don't think we needed to learn where she got her pickaxe or where she got her two guns. And when the movie isn't on the island, like, everything involving the character of Lara Croft just feels very generic, and I do think the villain is very forgettable. I think Walton Goggins, like I said, does a fine job, but he just doesn't stand out in any way, and the CGI is very hit or miss. There's moments where it takes me out, but for the most part, it's pretty good. But that's all my negatives for this movie. I do really enjoy it. It's not great, like I said. I think it does everything it's trying to do well enough. I think the adventure element is definitely there. I think Alicia Vikander's great in the lead role. I think the action's great, and I think by the end, it does have some weight to it. I do wish the movie had a bit more energy. I do wish some of the other characters were better written. I do wish some of it felt a bit less generic and had a bit more personality. And I do wish maybe there was a bit more to the script and to the character. But for what this movie is, I definitely think it's an enjoyable movie. I'm going to go ahead and give Tomb Raider a 6 out of 10. You know, it does really bum me out that we're not getting a sequel to this movie because I would have loved for this to become a franchise with Alicia Vikander leading in it, and yeah, it's too bad things didn't work out here. But what did you think of Tomb Raider? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.